Hello viewers, I'm SB, and as you might imagine, I have some thoughts about Sunless Skies. But, first of all, first order of business, before we get into it, I want to thank everyone who stuck around through a series that ended up being basically somewhere around 75 hours of me narrating an audiobook that was desperately fighting the entire time to stay unread. It was not exactly what I thought the series was going to be. There was certainly a lot more of it than I thought there was going to be. But I thoroughly enjoyed the experience, and I hope that you all did too. I guess it is probably the case that anybody who was watching this particular video enjoyed it enough to at least get through all of it. But now I've had some time here to think about why it is that I enjoyed it so much, and to talk about that, I'm going to have to talk about RPGs a little bit first. So I had to explain what tabletop role-playing games are to my mom a couple of days ago, because that's my life in the 2010s, and they've been on my mind ever since. Well, okay, I'm going to cop to it, I'll be honest. I played my first game of AD&D when I was like 8, and role-playing games have been on my mind ever since then, pretty much constantly. The really magical part of a tabletop role-playing game like D&D or Shadowrun or Deadlands, for me, is that together, the group of people playing will tell a story that none of them could have told on their own. Right, the combination of everybody contributing ideas, stuff that comes from their own perspective, plus the bits of, mechanical, not just mechanical structure, but also randomization through die rolls and stuff, will result in something, a story that is everybody's, but not anybody's, right? Not anybody in particular. And I've slowly come to realize that the video game RPGs that I like the most are the ones that give me some of that feeling as well. Like the feeling that the game world and I are collaborating to make a story, rather than that I'm just picking one of the 2 or 3 variants of the story that the game developers wrote ahead of time, or worse, that I'm picking which versions of the flavor text will play out over the one version of the one story that they wrote ahead of time. And if you've played a lot of modern games that are billed as RPGs, especially RPG/other genre, you probably know what I'm talking about here. I'm not trying to say that those games can't be good in other ways, but they don't do this thing, right? So, while we didn't have a lot of lasting narrative mechanical impact, or I guess lasting mechanical narrative impact on the game world here, I'm confident that Sister Patel isn't someone that the people at Failbetter wrote and left for me to find. If that makes my meaning clearer. I still get the sense of building something out of the pieces, I guess. I don't know, maybe that's just me being dumb and easy to trick. Although, also, I guess, in a very real sense, that's all of what video games are. I've gotten distracted now. Where am I in my list of bullet points here? Nobody wears dungarees anymore. Okay, so that's something you can only get from an interactive medium, right? Another thing that is born of the interactive medium that I really like about this game, the way it's constructed, is that you have to put real effort into assembling any kind of world narrative. There's something almost archaeological about it, right? You're digging for little bits of information that are scattered everywhere, and even when you go through all the stuff, you find where the piece of information is, and you do whatever it is you have to do to get access to it. Nothing is ever really explained to you in one go, right? You just get little fragments, and then you have to cobble them together. And there's a satisfying thing about that cobbling the information together yourself, that moment of realization, as you come to understand something that you have had the pieces of, that I think makes the story feel better and more meaningful and, consequential than it would if it was just told to you straight, even if nothing about the story itself actually changed. So I think a lot of video game writing, and video game plotting in particular, suffers from trying to ape cinema too closely in a format that has some extremely glaring differences from cinema, right? But this game's text is, well, I guess, first of all, it helps that the text is really only suitable to be delivered as text. But also, it's so tightly bound to the form of its delivery. This is really a story that could only work for us the way it worked for us because of the fact that it is a game that we had to seek out the bits and pieces, and that we played through a bunch of the areas more than once with different approaches, right? So we got to see sort of different sides of the same thing. That sort of exploratory narrative where you get to see the same situation over and over again in different pieces is something that I really like when video games take advantage of. I wish we got more of that. So yeah, I'm impressed with the construction of it, or it might be more accurate to say that I'm impressed with the construction of the feeling that it was able to impart to me, rather than with the thing itself, which is a lot of words to express that I had a good time. I enjoyed myself. Yeah, I think that's it. This was in the writing stage. This was starting to spiral out of control conceptually. So I had to pare it back to a couple of simple ideas to avoid losing it to the same video essay sprawl that claimed the Wolfenstein Final Thoughts video, which I still have several pages of written up in a text document on this computer somewhere. Yes, that's really all I have to say. I loved the experience that I had here, and I want to thank Fail Better Games and also all of you good people out there who watched and who had helpful comments and stuff, because honestly, maybe this is going to come across a little conceited, but I really think the story of Sister Patel is one of the most satisfying narratives that I've ever experienced in a video game, and I actually, really literally could not have done that myself. Yeah, so I guess that's it. That's it for us for today and for Sunless Skies. I'm really glad I played this. Thank you all so much for watching. This is the part of the video where I traditionally put up the credits. I'm going to remember to do that. Yeah, thank you all so much for watching. And come back next time for something else, maybe a little bit less existentially terrifying. Although, actually, with the games I've been picking lately, who can really say? And we'll see you then.